Okay, so welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking at this Trump rally
Yeah.
that happened at Madison Square Garden,
It's
uh,
an interesting one.
which is such a historical venue.
Oh,
You
yeah.
think about all the
Yeah.
things that have happened there.
Absolutely.
We're going to be looking at why it's drawing comparisons to a 1939 Nazi rally
Mm-hmm.
that happened in the same location.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, big shoes to
a
fill.
heavy comparison, right?
Huge.
So we're gonna figure out why people are
Excellent.
drawing those comparisons.
Yeah, the article we're looking at, it really hones in on
Okay.
Trump's rhetoric,
Yeah.
particularly about immigration.
I noticed that it focused heavily on the immigration
Mm-hmm.
stance, and it makes you wonder, like, what is it about this language that's making people react so strongly? Yeah.
Well, it's interesting, because the article itself doesn't connect the dots, but it does highlight a
Right.
lot of Trump's statements that have been called, fear-mongering and divisive.
Yeah.
And you have to remember that any comparison to Nazi Germany is going to be intensely sensitive, right?
Yeah.
Because of the atrocities and everything.
Sure.
So it's like, is this comparison justified, or is it just oversimplifying?
Yeah, it's a loaded comparison to make, for sure.
For sure.
One thing I noticed, too, is they pointed out there were these starkly contrasting reactions to the rally. Like, cheers from the crowd inside Madison Square Garden. Then, like, boos and protests outside.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that
Yeah.
alone kind of speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's like, just a microcosm of the polarization of American society
Yeah.
and this event. And the controversy around it could have a real impact
Yep.
on the 2024 elections.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows?
For sure.
This could be a sign of a deeper rift.
Yeah.
Or it could be a more isolated incident.
One thing that I think is interesting, too, is that we are seeing this through the lens of a French news outlet,
Right.
France 24, right?
Yeah.
What do you think their perspective might be?
That's a great point. Because obviously a European outlet, and particularly French media, they tend to, they have a different approach to covering American politics.
Right.
They're often a little more analytical, less sensationalist.
Okay. Compared to U.S. media.
Yeah,
And I-
exactly.
yeah.
It'd be really interesting to compare this article to some from, American sources.
It's crazy to me that this one event, like this rally, has kind of opened this Pandora's box
It really has.
of issues, right? Like, we have to think about the power of rhetoric, these historical parallels that are being drawn, how fractured American politics is.
It really raises the question, how can we talk about this stuff without resorting to this
Right.
really inflammatory language? I think it's a responsibility we all share, like both as speakers and as listeners. Yeah.
To promote thoughtful dialogue,
Right.
even when we're talking about really difficult issues.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for this deep dive. We covered a lot today.
We did.
Hopefully everyone listening has some things to think about,
Yeah.
in terms of what we can all do to keep the conversation respectful and thoughtful.
Absolutely.
All right, everyone, we will see you next time
See you next time.
for another deep dive.